Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kiri Kermode. At the weekend I popped along to Andreas to take a walk with the Grassland Society.
And I braved the wind and rain to join the Isle of Man Woodland Trust, who is planting some new trees up near the Lhen. But before we get into all of that, Kiri, some welcome rain, especially for the farming community.
Yes, certainly. On the north in particular, at the weekend I popped along to Lhen there, and they were saying that the rain was very much welcomed there. It'd been a very dry summer, and some saying the drought in 2018, it was very similar to that, but this was even a longer period of time, and it was quite effects from it.
Yes, there was, and the strange thing was the week ago there was a massive shower and rain overnight, and all puddles on the road the next day. But when an hour later, when I walked across the grass, it was dry.
Dry as a bone.
Just gone straight in.
Yeah, that's it. But it has been very welcomed. The year generally has been very dry, so I just hope now this rain has come, it's just going to clear off again and give us a break. Otherwise, it's going to be a long winter.
It is, and hopefully in the next week or so, we'll catch up with the Laxey flour mills as well, because obviously the reports that the wheat yields and the quality weren't too bad this year.
I think on the whole, people are generally pleased with their crops. The barley and corn harvested in the south of the island where we are there, the corn itself's been very plentiful and lots of straw around as well.
Yes, that's good news, and of course for all the horse owners as well around the Isle of Man who may not obviously get the chance to grow it themselves. They're usually last on the list to get any if there's a shortage, isn't it?
This is it, but there's been some quality hay made and some very good haylage as well, and I think people are going into winter quite relaxed. They've had a good harvest and plenty put away in the stores for the winter, a better position than we have been in a few years lately, but the seasons are so changeable now, aren't they? You can never predict it.
You can't indeed. Well, you mentioned Lhen Farm, which was John Cayley's, the Cayley family's farm, who farmed there for many years. But you were there at the weekend on a bit of a tour around. That's
right. It's no longer a dairy farm. It's in fact a sheep farm. And we caught up with Derek Cameen, the shepherd and manager of Lhen there, and took a walk around with the Manx Grassland Society.
The sun always shines on the north.
And to see the amount of grass you have around the farm now, it certainly has been shining.
Yeah, well, nice to have a bit, because it's often dry this last few summers on the north. We're always short of grass, and glad of the rain recently, and nice to see a bit of autumn grass push us into the winter nicely.
And it was a lovely turnout by the Grassland Society here today to take a lovely walk around.
Yeah, it's nice to see from a few people from all over the island coming to see what we're doing, criticising us a bit, maybe liking what we do a bit. It's all very welcome.
It is. And what do you take from it as well?
Interesting comments from people. Why do you do this? What do you do? And why and how? All them things makes you question what you do yourself.
And going around, we have seen some of the animals that you keep, the Hampshire Down, a very old traditional breed.
Yeah, well, they are old-fashioned. Reputation in the past for being a fat breed, but we like them. We always like to do something different.
But then you say that crossed with some of the new modern lean genetic breeds, it's working.
It works well for us. We currently have a little flock of about 30 Hampshire ewes. That seems to be a right number for us. And breed our own rams and produce some top quality lambs for Isle of Man meats. Somewhere in the region of at least 1,000 Hampshire Down crossbred lambs each year. They work well for us.
And as the farm stands now, Derek, originally it was a dairy farm, and you've come here in the last few years and extended it into a sheep farm.
Yeah, there's been the estate has grown extensively. This part seems to be suited well for lamb production, and we overflow some of the stock time to time as the year allows. This time of year especially, onto the dairy farm and the beef unit to tidy up the pastures and help the job along. All work together.
Today we've been discussing various types of grass, and in particular on the north, like you say, it's quite dry. How do the modern grasses work up here? Because they say some of them are going back to herb lays, more cocksfoot and old-fashioned seeds getting used.
Yeah, we're never afraid of trying new things, and always watching the farming press, all anything new that's coming out to be of benefit. We have a mix of grassland. Some of it's permanent pasture, which has native species and a lot of herbs in it, which we manage as it is. But then on the more productive land, we do a lot of cropping for the whole estate, and able to reseed for the more productive parts of the farm accordingly.
And going forward, any changes you'd like to make?
Maybe just grow grass a bit smarter, maybe less chemicals, less fertiliser use.
Yeah. And with that, would that have to be going back to some of the more native species of grass?
I think the plant breeders going ahead will provide us with seed from low input seeds. I think that'll be the way ahead, and we'll monitor it, see how it goes.
And obviously in the press lately we talk about the fertiliser situation, the cost of fertilisers going up, the cost of fuel changing. Will this impact farming? Yeah,
it will do. With fuel increase in price, that's obviously related to energy, global commodities such as wheat and proteins. It all impacts on farming all over the world, and even more so the Isle of Man with our additional costs.
Yeah, that's the trouble with the water around us, isn't it? It does for any export it is quite difficult. So how do you find farming on the island generally?
I'm a little bit biased. I'm a fan of the Isle of Man. I like what I do. I suppose it makes it a bit easier. I understand the soil, understand the animals and the aims and objectives. So yeah, I enjoy what I do, and makes it easy. If you like it, it's easy.
David, here we are at Leo Kerr and Andreas, and you've obviously joined the Grassland Society for a walk around with Derek Cameen. How have you found it?
It's been really good, Kiri, because I'm not a farmer, so there's an awful lot I need to learn about Manx farming to make this scheme a success. So I've really come here today for two things. One is to see what I can learn from the walk, and also to get feedback about the new scheme from the farmers and see what things that they're really engaged about and interested in, and some of their constructive feedback.
And I think that's what people are saying. It's sort of generally is the fact that you're approachable. You come into events, you're able to give them their passionate feedback and what's important to them as their businesses. And are you seeing people now coming towards you?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I wish I had 4 or 5 staff members that would help me get around as many farms as possible, as quickly as possible. It's really, because it's important. I don't work for government. I work for the Manx Wildlife Trust, and I'm in that in-between area where I've got farmers on one side giving us that feedback, and then it's nice to come to events like this, is that I can gather that up together and then take that back to government, and hopefully maybe tweak the scheme, because it's just been rolled out all island without a trial. So we're in the trial phase now, which is the rollout.
And are you finding that many farmers are starting to embrace the changes now?
Definitely, yeah. It certainly, of course, this year the ADS payments went down, so that farmers have lost a bit of income this year. So they're looking at all ways that they can get their income back.
And I think the idea of you being able to take the feedback back to DEFRA is so important. We have to start to work together.
Yeah, definitely. And if this scheme's going to be a success, which I really think and hope it will be, it's got to be easy for farmers to use, and it's got to provide things that are because as an agri-environment scheme, it's got to have that agricultural impact and also that wildlife impact too.
And here in Andreas, going around Derek's farm, there's lots of things that maybe have been done years ago. Now, he can't now apply for those bits that have already been done. Is there some way of being like a retrospective payment for people that have already done works on their farms?
So the scheme as it is looking for new initiatives on the farm. However, something I'm keen to encourage is where there are existing habitats that are of really important wildlife value on the farm, is for those to be recognised. So of course over the winter I'll be liaising with government to see if there's any way that the scheme can be tweaked to improve it for that.
And how can people get in touch with you? I know a while ago we were talking about workshops and just reaching out to you via email.
Yeah, so my email is david@mwt.im for Manx Wildlife Trust. Please contact me and we'll work out a suitable date for a farm visit. On Tuesday the 5th of October and Wednesday the 6th of October, we're going to be at the Mountain View Innovation Centre in Lhen and King William's College, respectively. And that's open for all active farmers on the Isle of Man to come and hear more about the scheme.
And workshops are always so helpful, David, and I know that you're planning to have a few of those coming up.
Yeah, so in fact, Kiri, tonight we've got an event on at the Mountain View Innovation Centre at 7 p.m, and that's for any active farmer to come along and hear more about the scheme. Tomorrow night we're down at King William's College in Castletown at 7 p.m. as well, and that'll be for me to present about the scheme to get farmers more knowledgeable about it and answer their questions.
Well, Jim Cayley, here we are up in Andreas, and a fine day we've had as well for the Grassland Walk.
Yeah, delighted. The last few days the weather's changed and I was a bit worried about today, and it was always going to be a walk, and luckily that's what's happened. We've had a really good walk today around some of Mr Hemming's estate. Derek showed us around. We've looked at different types of sheep on the way. There's that many different types of sheep. I can't remember how many different ones. There's the Cluns, the Hampshires. You'll know more than me. What
this
else?
Is it, but he keeps a certain type, doesn't he? And they were really, really looking well.
Yeah. Another one I just thought on New Zealand, Suffolks there mixed in and crossbred, and they all seem to have a different purpose and they seem to be doing the job. And the number of lambs Derek said has come off the grass here this year, it's really, really good.
And from a grassland point of view, you've obviously got a lovely society, and the members here today really enjoyed it. What do you look for at the farm visits?
Well, I think everybody sort of just likes, it's nice to go to a different farm. It's a change, a breath of fresh air, and we've had 2 or 3 visits this year, and they've all been sort of, well, as all farms on the Isle of Man, there's no 2 farms the same, is there? Because it's different terrain, different stock, different scenery, so it's just good just to have that variety. And yeah, we've had, like I say, I think we've had 2 or 3 visits, and there's different people come on different ones, but there's the same number, there's quite a lot overall, so you've got a good nucleus of people that's interested in a lot of different things.
And like you say, taking an idea home as well, like we spoke a lot today about the clover, the agri-environmental scheme now, having David Bellamy on the visit as well has always been very helpful.
Yeah, that was just, I didn't expect David to be here today. The last one we did, thanks to the Martins up at Smale, that was really good, and he was there that night, and that was a summer night, and he's coming again today, and I don't think anybody asked him to come, but he just came off his own back, and it's good to talk, and all the farmers are liking to talk to him to see what they can learn, and there's just plenty going on, plenty to think about.
This is it. And like you say, the feedback coming from farmers that would maybe cross paths with David, and that advice he can take back to DEFRA as well, and tweak and alter as we go forward, because this is new to everybody, the agri-environment scheme.
Oh yeah. I know this won't work what I'm saying now, but there's 2 more meetings this week coming up, so it's good. It's we're going to learn more going forward. It is a big learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a good team behind you in the Grassland Society. You won't have it won't be long till your awards is coming up.
Yeah, that's usually the beginning of January when we have the dinner, and then you've got this grassland management, beef and sheep and dairy side of it, and then there's all the silage competitions, whether it's the pit, the bales, the forage crop, the hay, there's the grassland reseeds. They're just a few of the ones I can remember. Maize. There's so many different competitions. It's a full night just to get all them awards in. So the entries are closed now? Is it just waiting for the judges? Or? No, I think there's still time yet for the silage competitions and the forage crops, the feed competitions. Yeah. No, get your entries into Cayley whenever you can. The more the merrier. Absolutely.
That was Jim Cayley, the chairman of the Manx Grassland Society, David Bellamy from the Manx Wildlife Trust, and head shepherd Derek Cameen, all there at Lhen on Sunday. Yeah, I bet you took some new sights in that wouldn't be too familiar with, for you anyway. Absolutely, a lovely part of the country, and like Derek said, that the rain was very welcomed and it had greened up quite a lot lately, but they'd been feeding hay for a good few months, but a lovely part of the country. And like I say, David Bellamy was there with his Wildlife Trust hat on, also talking about the agri-environment and getting lots of feedback from the farmers, very informal, and it was a really good afternoon out with the Grassland Society. Yeah, and Trevor Hemmings himself there. Indeed, he was a great character, and much support there for all of what was going on, and a great farm, great layout, and good sheep produced. You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark.
Well, I mentioned that the start, the weather at the weekend wasn't brilliant, but it didn't deter 20 or 30 people joining the Isle of Man Woodland Trust at a place at the Lhen, just near the coast there. And I went along and have a chat with some of the people who were planting the trees, some for the first time. But firstly, I spoke to the chairperson of the Isle of Man Woodland Trust, Falk Horning, and very good turnout in such blustery weather conditions.
Yeah, we got about 20 to 25 people here on a very windy day. Bit of rain in the morning, so that is also quite scary, but people came out nonetheless.
And what's the Woodland Trust? They seem to make a habit of heading out to these areas, random places, to plant some trees.
Yes, we don't own much land ourselves, so we go wherever people want to have some trees planted with us. We typically plant at least 150 trees per session, and it is all over the island. We go from Russian to Derby and from Lexi to Peel.
Well, it's a bloody blustery field you found yourself in today. I mean, is that a concern when you have to plant them in exposed areas?
We manage the species according to the area, so when it's exposed area close to the sea, we plant species which are resistant to salt and wind exposure. Especially this spot where we plant today faces southwesterly winds. So we plant many pines, alders, willows, and also some sycamore.
Right, so a good range of them, and that's where you've got to be sort of careful what types then you plant in certain areas. Does the soil type have anything to do with it?
The soil type has something to do with it, how wet the area is, exposure, whether already some trees are close to the site. So there are some species like birches who are very good at pioneering untreed land. Yeah. And other species who actually like to have some other woodland close by.
So how do they go about doing it? I mean, there's a couple of them that haven't been to these. I suppose you've got your regulars, and there's a couple of new ones today. I mean, is it a difficult task? Are the instructions fairly clear and simple?
Well, we got about half the people today, I would say, have been new or quite
really?
new.
Yeah.
And we give them a bit of an introduction how to plant a tree, which takes about a quarter of an hour.
Yeah.
And no, everybody can do that. We have some very young ones with us today who were like 10, 12 years old and have already been planting their trees. So it is doable. You just need a bit of patience and steady hands.
Yeah. So you obviously have to dig a hole. Is that the first thing?
Yes, that is probably the most physically hardest thing.
But not a big massive hole, is it? Just wide enough for a sort of, 4 or 6 inches wide, is it?
Yeah, it's basically like a liter plant pot, that size of a hole. And then the things what you do next is putting a bit of bone meal into the bottom of the hole to help this act as a fertilizer for the young trees. And then we, at the very end of the process, put a tube and stake around the tree, which will protect the trees from eating from rabbits and hares.
Right, okay, so you don't think of them things to start. You think it's only the weather that's going to affect them, but the wildlife can.
Oh yes, rabbits love young saplings, and they just have the little tender shoots coming out of the top. It's lovely rabbit food.
So how often do you and your team get out to plant trees? Is it every week?
Every Sunday, typically from 10:30 in the morning, from October until April, which is the planting season. Unfortunately, when it gets too sunny and bright and warm outside, the tree planting season stops.
Really? So it's more of a colder, exposed weather job?
It is very much so.
But perfect for the outdoor people.
Absolutely, and it gives you that extra bit of encouragement to go out, even if it doesn't look like the brightest of all days and a bit cold. You have something to do, you have a clear goal that you want to achieve, like putting so many dozens of trees in maybe on a day. And it's a nice reason to wake up for in the morning.
Yeah, and the Isle of Man Woodland Trust itself, going quite a few years now?
Yeah, we have been going for about 15 years now. And last year we planted something like 5,000 trees. So we try to make use of every Sunday that we can, apart from Christmas and New Year's.
And if people want more information, Falk, where they get you?
They can look at our Facebook page, Isle of Man Woodland Trust, where we typically advertise the plantings at least a week in advance, and also on our website, which streams the same information, and additional as well about trees, how to care for trees, and also things like tree diseases.
Well, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
So let's get a chat with a couple of first timers today. You're
Josh Horton.
Jean Kimber.
and your first timers. Then, how are you finding it? It's not quite the Costa del Sol out
Not
here.
exactly this morning, was it? We were swept away when we first got here, but we're warmed up now. We've planted about 10 trees, I think, so
Yeah.
still going.
Everyone sort of mucks in. If you're stuck, they help you out.
Yes, we all share all the tools. We haven't had to bring anything at all today, so it's all provided for us just to plant. And some holes have even been pre-dug, which is helpful.
No, are you providing the muscle for it? And
A little bit. She's been hitting the hammer more than I have.
Really?
Yeah, she's going crazy with it.
But it's how's the experience been for you?
It's been nice. It's always nice to plant a tree. It's having a good time, really.
Yeah, because when you, what made you look at this and think, oh, I'm going to come down and join the Woodland Trust and plant some trees?
She just told me in the morning, so I was like, okay. I guess
All
I'm
right,
doing
bit
that
of
today.
bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
When you look at this, you wouldn't think the trees would be able to grow in this with the wind that's blowing today, but you've had a rain shower too, I believe.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's very windy. I'm surprised I'll survive, but apparently they're going to be good for it. So
Yeah. Will you come again on another one?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, it's brilliant that you're involved in it today, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There are some new people turning up to help the Isle of Man Woodland Trust plant some new trees at the Lhen. Also, before that, the chairperson of the Trust, Falk Horning. Great to see them out and about. Didn't deter them. They were there with the mallets and their stakes and digging the little hole, putting the bone meal in.
Wow, it's amazing what people do. They commit themselves to the weekends, volunteering for such great organisations and charity work. And at the moment, environment's at the forefront of everybody's mind. So doing those little bits will help, hopefully, small steps through a bit better world.
Yes, they will. But just before we go, time to mention a couple of things that's happening on a week Saturday, which will be Saturday the 16th of October. You're invited to go along to Balrenny Estate in Kirkmichael. But just before we go, a couple of notices to give you. On the 16th of October, Saturday, there'll be an open day. You're invited to attend Balrenny Estate in Kirkmichael, which is on the Orrisdale Loop Road there. And you'll be able to have a look at the creation of a wetland habitat there, which has gone under an extensive tree and hedge planting over a 13-year period. So go along to that. You can get details of that by contacting Alan on 495 903. That's 495 903. All starts at 10 o'clock. And Kerry, the Isle of Man Manx Bantam Fur and Feather Society have got their annual show.
That's right, Sunday the 17th of October. That's Sunday the 17th of October at Braddon Commissioners Memorial Hall in Union Mills. And the schedule and entry forms are now available from the show secretary, Nigel Taylor. You can find Nigel on Facebook or at sumatranhen@icloud.com. And the entries close on the 10th of October. So that's the Manx Bantam Fur and Feather Show.
Yes, good. All right, that'll do for this week's Countryside. We're back next Tuesday with more. So until then, from me, Simon Clark.
I'm me, Kiri Kermode.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.